Today we're going to be considering a passage from Matthew chapter 24. As well, we will be looking at the parallel accounts in Mark chapter 13 and in Luke 21. In this passage, was Christ referring to his second coming and the literal end of the world, or to the end of a certain age? Well, if it was the latter, what age is Jesus referring to? The question asked by the disciples grew out of the statement that Jesus made about the coming utter destruction of the city of Jerusalem. And the speech that Jesus made was an answer to the questions of the disciples. And no matter what view you take of the speech that Jesus made, there are some difficulties here that we need to consider. But we must not ignore the fact that the speech was made in answer to the questions asked by the disciples. Matthew, Mark, and Luke all give a record of these questions. Matthew says, "Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?" Well, substituting the marginal reading, the last question should be, "And what shall be the sign of thy presence and the consummation of the age?" This would mean the complete ending of the Jewish age in the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple, the destruction of the Jews as an organized nation. In Mark's account, he says, "Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign when these things are about to be accomplished?" In Luke's account, it says, "Teacher, when therefore shall these things be, and what shall be the sign when these things are about to come to pass?" To say that Matthew's report of the questions does not mean the same as the reports of Mark and of Luke is to accuse someone of giving a false report. But compare the wording of the last question in Matthew with the way that Mark and Luke records this question. In an important sense, the Lord is always present with those who serve him, and yet there are occasions when his presence is so manifest in some work, in blessing, or disaster that it's said that he comes on such occasions. Well, the disciples at this time in history expected that Jesus would soon declare himself king, and that the Jews had so bitterly persecuted him that they would expect him to put down his enemies and carry out the decree that he made about the temple. Many times the coming of the Lord is mentioned when his second coming is not hinted at. Certainly, David was not referring to the second coming of Christ, and certainly as well in John 14 and verse 23, this is not referring to the second coming of Christ. And it is just as certain that 5 of the references in Revelation do not refer to his second coming, and the other reference does not seem to do so. Certainly the Lord did not deceive these good people of Thyatira by making them believe his last coming would occur while they were still living. With the disciples' notions and understanding of matters, how could they have been asking about what we now know as the second coming of Christ? They did not so much believe that Jesus would be killed, and therefore did not believe that he was going away. But the common idea among the Jews was that the Messiah, when he came, would abide with them forever. Even after Jesus arose from the dead, the disciples expected him to soon assume the reins of government there in Jerusalem. They still did not expect Jesus to go away. They could not, therefore, have been asking about his second coming. Many commentators have viewed their question in light of later knowledge and not in light of what the disciples then knew. And it's astonishing that Bible students have done the same thing. The disciples referred to his coming in judgment on the city of Jerusalem. Jesus had said that the temple would be utterly destroyed in Matthew 24 and verse 2. And the disciples asked him, "What shall be the sign when these things are all about to be accomplished?" He mentioned the signs that would come before the destruction of Jerusalem. Just as the fig tree's putting forth its leaves showed the near approach of summer, even so ye also, when ye see these things coming to pass, know ye that he is nigh, even at the door, Mark 13 and verse 29. And it would all occur before all the people then living had passed away, and none but the Father knew that Jerusalem would be destroyed. But it would be a very dark time for those people that dwelt in that place. Friends, we thank you for joining us for our program today. We hope that you have a blessed day.